In this lesson, we're going to do forms of numbers. Let me just share with you the things that we're going to be learning. We're going to learn reading and writing multi-digit whole numbers using base 10 numerals, number names in expanded form, comparing two multi-digit numbers based on meaning of the digits in each place, and using greater than, less than, or equal to symbols to record the results of comparison. I know that's kind of hard, but this is encompassing a whole lot, so let's get started. Okay, so the first thing that we need to know is about standard numbers. Now, you should already know that standard numbers are just that, names. Not really names, let me not do that. It's the numbers that make up the numbers, right? So it's just the numbers. So if I wanted to tell you that the standard form of 5 is 5, that's a standard number, or 157 looks like that. We're talking about the numerals themselves. So like anytime you see just the numbers, that's called the standard form, because that's kind of what we're used to. It's standard. It's everybody uses them. We use them for anything. Like 3,275. Same kind of thing. This is the standard form because that's the standard way that we use numbers. Each of them has different places. Ones, tens, hundreds, ones, tens, hundreds, and thousands. So it's just the regular way that we always do numbers. Okay, another form, let me erase that for you. Another form would be the, as soon as I find it, there we go, expanded form. Now this one's a little bit more complicated because really it just tells how much of the value of each of the numbers are. So when we think about expanded, we're showing the value of each digit. It's hard to write with this thing. Hold on. Show the value of the place. Okay, so if we have 2,358 and we want to show the expanded form, well, first thing we do is you look at this place right here. And then we look at this place right here. Then this one. Then the last one. And the way that we show expanded is just like what I said. We took the value of each of the digits. So this 2 is in the 2,000s place. So we start with 2,000, because that's how much that 2 is worth. And then we add the value of the 3. The 3 is in the hundreds place. So that 3 is worth 300. That's the value of that 3. Then we look at the 5. The 5 is in the tens place. So it's like adding 50. And then lastly, the last place is that 8. So we have 2,000 plus 300 plus 5 plus 50 plus 8 equals that 2,358. You can see each of these digits as kind of separate values. So it shows the value of each place. Just like as if we added back in 2,000 and we added that 300 back in and the 50 back in and the 8. They're all just themselves. They don't have any other values in any other place. Everything else is zeros. So you're just isolating this 1, 2. So you're showing just the value of the 2 is in the 2,000s place. And if you added this up, you would come out with the same amount. You would have 0 plus 0 plus 0 is 8. 0 plus 0 plus 5 is 5. There's no regrouping. 3 all by itself. And 2. And that just goes back to what we just did. 2,300 plus 50 plus 8. So that's the expanded. You expand out the number to show each place. Okay. And the last one that I wanted to share with you is, let me get these done real quick. Hold on. The last one I want to share with you is the word form. Let's get these out. And that word form is a little bit harder. So that word form kind of is kind of what it implies. It's just the words that go along with it. So if I was going to use this number, 45, comma, 261. This has another name other than just naming the digits that go along with it. So let's talk about how this is structured. Okay, so this comma separates the number into two periods. So we have the ones period and the thousands period. So let's start here first when we're naming the number. So for word form, let me just go ahead and type this. It's probably easier. So let me type it. Let's type out what it would be. This will be 45, no U, and then we name the place. Anytime you come to a comma, you have to name the place of the numbers. So we don't have to do it here because there's no comma behind it. But when there's a comma right here after that 45, we need to show that that 45 is not the same 45 that would be right here. So we have to say what that comma means to let people know that these numbers belong in the thousands period. So that's what we're going to name it. We're going to say this is 45, and then 1,000 is the period that this 45 is in. So let's put 45,000. And then we move on to the next three, 261. Okay, some things I want you to notice about this is that you put the comma in just like you do the comma in the number. So just like, oops, let me do it the other way. So just like you have the comma up above, you're going to put that comma in the same place. So if it's right here, you're going to keep it right there. The 45 goes right there. The 200 goes right there. The 600 or 61 goes there. The only difference that you see from this to this is this word right here, 1,000. That's the only difference that you have to do. So this will be 45, 261, and we just added this part of 1,000 right before the comma to let people know that that's where that went. So if you kind of keep that in mind, that you always say the number, you'll never go wrong with that. So 45,261 is the word form of this one. Kind of easy, I would think. But we're going to try some and see how you do. So let's look at some examples. Okay. Let's use this number. Okay, so here's our number. And what I'd like for you to do is I'd like you to write the word form and the expanded form. And I'm going to give you 2 minutes to do that, and then we'll go over it. Okay, the word form and the expanded. It's pretty bad, sorry. All right, word form and expanded form, 2 minutes. Let me put a timer in here so you know how long that is. I did that with another video at one point, I think. Let's just give you 1 more minute, and we'll just go that way. Okay, so here is the number in word form, 247,863. Check your paper. Also, there's something that we don't really talk about all that much. So let's talk about this for just a minute. See this part? Man, I'm pretty bad at this program. This part right here. See that hyphen? You're going to see that hyphen anytime you see that between these numbers right here. So 63, 47. You're going to see that hyphen every time. So you get into the habit of doing that in this last part of each of those numbers, there's a hyphen. So just kind of like we just talked about, if you look at this 247, that 247 is the same thing that's right there. And then we use that 1,000 and the comma to continue with our number. The next part was the 863. You see, 863 is the same way. So it still kind of works out the same with each, but the only part is that comma is just named. So that's the only difference between those. Okay. If I was going to, the expanded form, I forgot that. The expanded form, we look at the 2. The 2 is in the 200,000s. Terrible 2. There we go. 200,000. Because that 2 is in the 2000s place. Then 40,000. Then 7,000. That's a plus. 7,000 plus 800 plus 60 and plus 3. You can see that with the entire number that's right there. So let me see if I can move this around. There we go. Okay. So 200,000, 40,000, 7,000, 800, 60, and 3. Each of those digits has its own value, and you just show it using addition all the way across from the beginning to the end. Okay. Next, let's look at greater than and less than. So let's write this number together. 3, 5, 4, 7, 0. Is it greater than, less than, or equal to 3, 5, 4, 7? Well, if I was looking at this number, this is what you should not do. You should not just start right at the beginning. 3, 3, 5, 5, 4, 4, 7, 7, 0, nothing. Oh, they must be equal. No, you have to start at the ends. So that's, or actually, you start with the place value. Sorry, not the ends. You start at the place value. So let's look at the first digit in each number. This one is in the 10,000s place, and there's a 3. That's worth 30,000. This one does not have a number in the 10,000s place, so there's nothing there. So there's 0. So right away, I can just look at those two numbers and realize that this one is the biggest number, this one is the smallest number, and then just connect the dots. Okay, let's try another one. That one looked a little easy, so let's try this one. And you'll see how kind of expanded form helps you out a little bit. So let's look. Let's start at the beginning. Thousands place, thousands place. So they're both good so far. So 2,000 and 2,000. Then we look at the next place. The 4's in the 100, 4's in the 100. So far, they are equal. Because we looked at each place, and there's a value of each place, just like we did with the expanded form. It's the same kind of thing. So if we look at the 3 and the 6, we have 30 here and 60 here. This is the part that's different. So we need to compare this place. So it's really the tens place is where it gets different. So we can tell by looking at these two numbers that this one is the smallest because of the 30, and this one is bigger because of the 60, and this number is less than. Okay? Alright, so let's try some by yourself and see how well you do with these. It's a little bit harder. Well, maybe not too hard, but let's try some. So let me give you some numbers here. Let me give you is greater than, less than, or equal. Okay, so there's the first one. I'll give you just a couple seconds to do that one. Remember to check each place. Okay, so let's look. Let's see what you did. So if we have the 4,000, 4,000, that part's equal. Then we look at the 500 and the 800, that part's not equal. So let's compare those. Let's look at the hundreds place. In the hundreds place, the 8 is obviously bigger, and this one is smaller, so it's a less than. Okay, so some tricks there, but just make sure that you're not just looking at the number, you're looking at the place that's in the number. That's really important. Okay, let's try one of these. This was kind of a tough question, I think, on the common assessment before. Let's see how well you do with this one. If I gave you 3,246.64, sorry. I want to know this part right here. What numbers could I put there to make it true? What numbers could go there? So 3,264 is less than 3,000. How much? 64. What could I put in that blank? What numbers would work? So normally for problems like this, I might look at trying some, see if they work. So if I put a 1 there, would 1 work? So 3,200 is less than 3,100. Nope, that one won't work. How if I put a 2 there? If I put a 2 there, then they would be equal. That one doesn't work. What if I put a 3 there? 3,264 is less than 3,364. Oh, that one works. So a 3 could be a possibility. How about 4? Well, if 3 works, then 4 will work, 5 will work, 6, 7, 8, and 9. All these would work to make the problem right. So that's kind of a little trick that you can do, is by using the numbers down here, just putting an X on the ones that don't, and a check on the ones, and maybe if they have a multiple choice, you can find one that has that one in the pot. Obviously 0 is not going to work either. So that's just another part to it. So checking the place value, you can kind of do that as well. Okay, so going along with place value, let's look at this next kind of problem. This next kind of problem deals with putting numbers in order. Well, I guess not really. Well, I guess sort of in order. So let's look at this. If you have an 8, a 7, a 3, a 2, and a 6. If I wanted you to put those numbers in order to make the smallest number possible and to make the largest number possible, it's hard to write with this thing. How could I do that? Well, I know that I have at least 5 numbers, because I have 5 numbers right here. So looking at these 5, and you're trying to make the smallest, well, then you should probably pick out the smallest one first. So let's use the 2 first to show the smallest, and then 3 would be next, and I just put those here just to mark them so I know I did them. Then 6, then 7, then 8. And then vice versa. Once I figure out the smallest, all I have to do for the biggest is just show them in reverse order. So 8, 7, 6, 3, and 2. So just looking at the place value, that kind of works for that one. Okay, so let's work on a little activity and see how well you do putting all those skills together that we've just sort of learned. So, with your pencil, let's try this. Let's use this number, 15,426. I just gave you the word form. Let's look at this number, and I want to give you 4 activities to do. Okay, first activity is the expanded form. And then I want, if you were going to do 10,000 more, how much would that be? What's the value of the underlying digit? Value of underline. And lastly, what's the place value called? Okay. What's the place value and how much is it worth? How much is that place value? Okay. So I'll do the timer like I did last time. And I'm just going to give you, I think, just a minute. Yeah, just a minute to do that. And pull it over so you can see. So 1 minute, and go ahead and go. Okay, so let's move this out of the way. Whoops, not that part. This is the part I want to move. Okay, so let's look at each of these activities and see how well you did. If I was going to do expanded form, you should have written that the 1 is worth 10,000 plus 5,000 for the 5 plus 400 plus 20 plus 6. That's the expanded form for this number right here. If I wanted to know how much 10,000 more would be, I would go to the 10,000s place. I would add 10 more thousand to this place, so it should have been 25,426. The underlying digit is the 5, and the value of that 5 is 5,000. And the place value that that 5 is in the 10,000s place. And how much that place is worth is 10,000. That's a bad 10,000, but get the idea. Okay. All right, you did really well with this video. We have one more little thing to go, just to see how well you do. Is this one right here. Let's use these numbers and see if you can make me the largest number by looking at these digits. The largest number. Okay, I'll just give you a minute or two, or just a couple seconds to do that. What is the biggest number that I can come up with using those digits? Seconds. Okay, so the biggest number that you should have came up with was the 9 first. So 9, or was 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, comma, 1, 2, 3. I always do that just so I know and keep track. So I got the 9, then the 8, then the 6, then the 5, then the 4, and then the 3. That's the biggest number that you can do using this digits. And remember, if you're doing the smallest, you just do them in reverse order. So it'd be 345,689. Okay? All right. So you need to get your quiz and do both sides. And that's the end of this video. Hopefully you did really well with it. But remember what we kind of worked on. The word form right there. We did breaking down the word form. We did greater than, less than. Making the biggest number. We reviewed. And then finally looked at the last part. Okay, I hope you enjoyed our